Okay, hi grade 10s. Hopefully this time it goes a little bit better. So in the and I explained to you what the pad is about, and we also did the focus question, but that was actually in the document for you already. So I'm going to jump right in and go back to the assessment rubric. So as you can see here on your assessment rubric, we have now done the 5 points here for the task definition. And now I'm going to go ahead to the research questions. Now for the research questions, just to quickly go through what you get marks for here on the assessment rubric, there has to be 10 questions. They must be organized under appropriate headings. There must be an appropriate source type. And then all questions provided will help you answer the focus question. It includes questions that will give you data or statistical type of answers. That talks about amounts, like the answer must be a number. And it includes a variety of questions. Okay, so what that means, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation that I told you was on the questions, the question levels, and the headings and the types of websites, sources. So, okay, before I do the questions, let me just go back to the video here. Okay, so these questions, when I do research about something, let's say, for example, I tell you, go and do all the research you can think of for cell phones. Then where do you start? You start thinking of specific questions like, what type of cell phones do you get? What is a cell phone? How is a cell phone used? How much do cell phones cost? How many people have cell phones? So you see, I have smaller questions to do my research about cell phones. So we're going to do the same thing for the digital footprint. So if I tell you, you need to go and do research about the digital footprint, where are we going to start? We're going to say, okay, let's first figure out what is a digital footprint. How do people create a digital footprint? What is my digital footprint? Which social media sites leave a footprint? So you see, I have smaller questions which I ask and research in order to answer this bigger question, which is the focus question. Okay, so I'm going to help you here. In the first place, let me just see here what I need to open. One. Sorry, just give me a second. Let me see that I'm doing the right thing here. Sorry, guys. Okay, while I wait for this other document to open, let me quickly talk to you about this. So now I've explained to you what it means that you have to create these 10 questions. Now, as you'll see on the screen in front of you, I have a slide here that says there's different levels of questions. So maybe you've heard of the levels of questions from your teachers in tests and things. So what does that mean? A level 1 question is a simple question. It has a short and easy answer. So when you look at the screen there, it provides facts. Who, when, where, what, how many. So it's a straightforward question and answer. Level 2 gives direction to the investigation. Why does this happen? How does that happen? Or how does this work? Level 3 is support predictions or help with any changes, alternatives, or variations. So that would be a question starting with what if or if, and then support your judgment or help evaluate. So, and then you can start your questions with would it be better if, what recommendation, or what would be best. So you have to have questions from different levels here. So you have to have, you'll see the heading there too, from 3 out of the 4 levels. So the easiest thing would be pick I want to do a level 1 question, look at the words there in brackets. Then you start your question with what. So my question 1 is going to be, what is a digital footprint? And then I know it's a level 1 question. So I'm going to say, what is a digital footprint? Level 1, because I started my question with what. So every time I create a question, I go and look at my levels table here that you see in front of you right now, and I create my question using or starting with one of these words. And then I automatically know what level it is, and you don't have to analyze it and worry about how do you know what level this question is. Okay, so now I want to show you in this other document, there's a few example questions for you. There it is. Okay. So this document is your learner guidelines, okay? That is also in your PAT grade 10 document. You'll see it there. So you can open that to give you guidance too. There's the definition of the digital footprint. There's the focus question. How does a digital footprint impact your life? And now here are some example questions. Okay, so listen, you can use these questions. Just change it a little bit and make sure that you have questions from all the levels. Otherwise, I'm going to have to basically report you for plagiarism. You can't just copy and paste. So instead of saying, let me think of an example here. How is a digital footprint used? Then you go back to your levels and you maybe change it to where is a digital footprint used, or whatever the case may be. So just try and change the wording here a little bit, and you'll see there are 10 questions here. So you can actually pause the video now with this screen open on your phone, go back to your Word document and retype these questions. Once again, change them a little bit, change the order that you put them in, just change it so that it doesn't look like you just went and said copy and paste. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my Word research document, if I can find it here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm here on my research document again. Here's where I did my task definition. There's my focus question. And now here is a heading called research questions. You are going to type your questions in here. Insert questions and source table. Okay. Let me just quickly check here. So here you are going to say number 1, this, number 2, that. Okay. But what I want you to do is, let me just quickly see if this is at the end of the document. Sorry. Okay, so you are going to type in number 1, what is a digital footprint? And now you remember we said that these questions have to be under specific headings. Okay, so now you have your 10 questions. Now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation. By the way, guys, the idea is here that you don't try and do everything on the video as I explain it. You pause and you did your questions now. So now you're done with your questions by the time you get to this part of the video, okay? And then you do the next thing, which is now going to be the headings. So you don't have to try and do everything at once. Pause, do a bit, listen to the next part of the video, pause again, and so on. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation here. That's called question levels. And you'll see the next, just quickly here on the levels again. There's also some examples of questions for you on the next slide. Please, you can look at that. Now, here's some examples of headings. So, according to these questions that I've now asked, I need to place the questions under headings. So, some of the questions will be background. So, if I'm asking what is a digital footprint, then that would go under background. Now, you need to choose 3 of these headings that are in front of you now. And then you are going to have to organize your questions under 3 of these headings. So I would suggest, take my suggestion please, that you pick background, impact, and solutions. Okay, so if you insist on doing other headings, then that's fine, it's your choice. But for this pack, my suggestion is background, impact, and solutions. So I'm going back to my research report here, and I'm going to go down to the headings here, and here you'll see there's actually already headings in for you. So let's leave those headings. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not going to do the whole video again to go back on what I just said, so just listen to me, please. Leave the headings that are in here now as it is. So now I'm going to say heading 1. I'm simply going to copy all of this. You do this now. Right click, copy, go back to my questions. Oops. So paste. And now listen closely. I'm going to read each of my questions one by one and say copy and paste under the heading that it belongs. So let's say, what is the digital footprint? I'm going to right click and say cut and paste it under the relevant heading. If my next question is, what effect does the digital footprint have on my personal life or whatever, I'm going to go copy, paste it under consequences. Recommendations, let's say there's a question that asks, how can I ensure that my digital footprint is less or something like that, then I'm going to go to recommendations and paste it under there. Please ask me if you're struggling with organizing the questions under the correct headings. I will be glad to come and help you quickly and just tell you, I think that one fits there and that one fits there. So if you're a little bit lost at this stage, just ask me and I'll come and help you, okay? So that's the headings now. I'm going to go back to my assessment rubric now and see if I've got all my marks or if I'm short something under the 10 questions, okay? So now we've copied and pasted, not copied and pasted, I've retyped my questions, so I have my 10 questions. So yes, I've got at least 10 questions that all organized under the appropriate heading. So I've got that mark because now we cut and paste the questions under the appropriate headings. Here's one I missed. I have to have a possible and appropriate source type indicated for each question. So what that means is, just from thinking now, after you set your question, where do you think you will find the answer to this question? So it doesn't have to be necessarily true or perfect or right or whatever. It's basically just where you think you might find the answer. Please don't say internet for all because then I can't give you, okay? So what you can do is let's say, I'm just thinking what the best way would be. Just hit the tab button a few times after typing your question and say, for example, this one, internet. Now I'm going to give you a couple of examples of sources, and then you just decide, this one you'll use a magazine, this one you'll use a newspaper, this one you'll use an interview with an expert or whatever the case may be. Okay, so you can use internet, you can use magazine, article, news, paper, article, interview with expert. You can use a textbook. I think just stick to those 5. And for everyone, obviously it must make sense, but try and use a variety to answer the question of which source you would use to answer each of the questions. Okay, so each and every one of the questions must have a possible source type, because you can't get that mark if you don't have it. So if I go back to the Excel spreadsheet here, for all 10 questions, there must be a possible and appropriate source type indicated. You see, for each question. So make sure. All questions provided will help answer the focus questions. So if you've used those 10 questions in that learner guide that I showed you, then you will get that mark. Includes questions that will give data and statistical types. Now make sure when you read through your questions now, again, go and check them again. Is there a question to which the answer has to be a number? So how many, or how often, or how much, or how many times, or something like that. So that the answer has to be 3 or 20 or 100 or whatever the case may be. So make sure you have questions that gives you a number as an answer. And then the last one here includes a variety of questions, closed and open-ended questions, which means that if you use those levels that I just showed you, then you will get that mark. Okay, so that's the 10 questions. I'm going further now to my sources. Now, this is important and a little bit tricky, so you have to pay close attention to what I'm explaining to you now. So now, from all these things that you said a possible source type, you have to now tell me really 3 sources that you've used. And the 3 sources must consist of 2 websites and 1 other. So anything other than a website. It can be a magazine article, a newspaper article, an interview, a textbook, anything. As long as there's 1 that is not an internet source, okay? So here you'll see on your assessment rubric, all listed details for 3 sources, or listed for 2 to 3 sources, or 1 of the sources, okay? So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, no more on the sources. Okay, so here for the sources. What that means is, I'm going to go back to my research report now. And you have to use these tables to fill in that all information for 3 sources, all information for 2 sources, or whatever the case may be. So that is your guideline. Okay, and this one is an example. So this one doesn't count. You're not going to get marks for this one. You have to go to the next blank one. And now I want you to pay attention and see. For a website, you see here's the heading website. There's certain types of information that you have to give for a website, okay? So the name of the website, the name of the web page. The URL is that part that says http://www, etc., etc. Then the author, someone had to write that article or page or whatever. So who was that? And then the date created. So when did this person write the article? And date accessed, listen closely, is today, the day that you accessed that website. So it can't be the same date that it was created. That is the day you accessed the website. So that's today. Okay, now where do you find this? I have included in your documentation that I gave you a folder that's called sources. Okay, now you are going to go to the sources folder and choose 2 or 3, we'll get to the 3rd one now, of those documents that I put in there for you, and you are going to reference that as one of your sources. You can use your own, but it's just a little bit easier. You know that the ones I'm giving you are correct, it has the correct information and everything, and it's just a little bit safer and faster. But if you want to do your own research, you're more than welcome to. So I'm going to go back to my folder now for the sources. So you see here in your phase 1 folder, you have a folder called sources. Okay, so I'm going to open that now. Just make sure that it's visible on your screen. Okay, and now all of these are possible sources that you can use. I'm going to just open the first one to show you. Okay, here we go. So this web page is called Digitally Speaking, Positive Digital Footprint. So you can even go and actually just say, copy, go back to my research document, or my research report, and say paste. Okay? Just please make sure that you don't hand it in looking like this. It's too big, it's too bold. So just unbold it and make it a normal font type 11 or 12. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my research document, my source. And here you can see is the URL. Okay, so let's just go down a little bit. Okay, so it looks like it's 3 pages. You can see their references. You're going to have to now look for your information, right? And you scan through it to make sure. I don't just want to assume that that's the correct URL. I'm scrolling through the rest of the document to make sure that that's the correct one. So yeah, I can see there's a name of a person. Let me just see if this is the author. So teaches 6th grade science in Raleigh in California, blogs about teaching life. So that seems to be the author. So I can also just go again and say copy this text and go back to my research document. It's the author and paste. Okay, back to my document for my source. And yeah, we can see that's the name of his blog or the URL for his blog. So that's not our URL that we're looking for. These are the URLs for the sources used to create this document. So that's not the one we're looking for. And I'm just scrolling back to the top. And yes, I am going to use this as my URL. Just be careful when you click on it so that it doesn't actually just take you to the website. We want to try, you see. We just want to try and copy it. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. There we go. Copy text. I'm just going to remove that other part once I've pasted it, because that's not part of my URL. You see, the students, what, that's not part of my URL. So I'm going to delete that. And then I'm left with my URL. You can change the font color to make sure that it's nice and visible. I'm just going to say black or automatic. I say now it's nice and visible. And I still need the name of the website and the date created. Let's see if we can find that. Okay. So I'm thinking that the date created will be somewhere here close to where the author is. Let's see. Nope. Okay, I don't see a date right now. You should look a little bit closer. I just don't want to waste too much time looking for it myself now. I'll check again when I'm done with the video. But if you do find yourself in this type of position where you don't find a date or something like that, then you are going to say not applicable. So N/A, I'll just show you right now. So I just quickly want to see if we can find the name of the website, which is different from the web page. Teaching leaders. And then I'm going to look at this again. Publications, educational leader, positive digital footprints. Okay. I think I'm going to use positive digital footprints here as the name of my website too. So, positive digital footprints. And we said now date created. If I really can't find one and I've really looked, I can say not applicable. And well, today, the day that I'm making this video is the 20th of November. So you'll obviously use the date of the actual day that you are making this or doing this part of your PAT. And there you go. So now I have all the information for one web page, okay? Or one source, one source. So again, to just show you back in your Excel spread, your assessment rubric, all listed details for, now we've got one of the three sources, right? So that is what you need to do. I'm going to let you do the other two yourself, and I'm just going to show you, where's the third one? Okay, so there's the second website. You know what? You can use this one. I'm going to give you marks for this one. So this one has been done for you, okay? And you just have to do two others using the sources from the folder that I gave you now, okay? So now you've basically had two done for you because I did this one with you, and you can once again pause the video and copy this down. Nothing more to it. And then the third one, I just want you to do for yourself, because next year you're going to do all three for yourself, and then I'm not going to be able to do everything for you, so you have to learn a little bit. Okay, so the third one you do for yourself. Now, the next thing that you need is a summary of the source information. So now I'm going to have to use this source that I just gave the information for and basically summarize what that source information is about. So that means I need to go again back to the source, yeah, and you are going to have to read a little bit of it. Not the whole thing, but you will have to read through at least the introduction, scan through this, read the headings, scan through this, maybe read this in full. And then at the end, it's basically like, imagine your friend asked you after you read through this document, listen, what was that document about? And you're just going to say, oh, it just talks about with your digital footprint, what is positive about a digital footprint and how it's positive, and etc., etc. And you need to type that little summary, 2 or 3 sentences. You don't need to type more than that. 2 or 3 sentences here in this summary of source information. Okay, so that you're going to do yourself. You can see this one is just 1 sentence. I want you to do at least 2 sentences of this source, and then you do your own third source. You pick one from that folder that I gave you, and you also do a summary of 2 to 3 sentences for that source. Okay, so back to our assessment rubric. Okay, so now we have summary of information for all sources used. All summaries are in learner's own words. You can't go and copy and paste a section from the source, because then you can't get that mark, plus again it's plagiarism, and I have to fill in a whole report, and it has to be sent to the department, and you possibly going to get 0 or even a hearing. So especially when you get to matric, this is very serious. You can't just copy and paste. So in your own words, all summarized information is likely to answer questions to help solve the problem. Okay, so that just fits in with your questions, your 10 questions that you created. And as I said, if you use those questions that I showed you in your learner guide, then you'll get that mark. And if you use the sources that I put in your document, you get that. Okay. So here's some technical aspects that you get marks for. This is in a single Word document. That's fine because I gave you the document and you did everything on that Word research report that I gave you. So you'll get that mark. Now, the next one contains a cover page and content page with all required detail as per instruction. So now we're going to go back to a Word document, the research report, and we're going to go back to the top. And this is good to know for tests and things too, okay, how to insert a cover page. So I'm just going to take out the heading here, and I am going to go to page layout, I hope, or was it design? Let me see. Just give it a second here. Oops. Actually, sorry, design. Okay. No, insert. Sorry, guys. I still also have to look for things sometimes. So under insert, your insert tab, cover page. And now what's nice about this is you have a little bit of freedom. You can choose the one that you like. Please don't spend hours on the cover page. We all want to go home, right? So there's a simple one here with some blue outlines. You can go down. Just one thing, if you pick one with a picture in, you can't leave a picture in of a train, okay? We're not talking about trains, we're talking about a digital footprint. So if you use one with a picture, you're going to have to now go look for a picture that fits into it or delete the picture altogether. So that's up to you, but just make sure, I think in this case, with the time constraints that we have, it's easier to maybe just pick a simple one. And here you can see, basically all of this has been done for you. Anyone that you pick, computer applications, technological, practical assessment task, digital footprint, you've got an abstract there already in for you. An abstract is like basically 2 little sentences that gives you an overview of what the whole PAT is about. And you're going to have to go and put that in Word. So you see that the one they've put in here for you does not correlate with the digital footprint. So you can just go and retype in there maybe. People don't realize that they leave a digital footprint and that might last forever. And if you leave negative things on the internet, that might catch up with you at some stage. And we are doing research on how to manage that and be careful with your digital footprint or something like that, okay? Then you're going to type your name in here. You see, author, you are the author of this research report. So you're going to type your name in there. And then here, you can type in Phoenix High School, okay? And there you can type in grade 10, whatever class you are in. Okay, so that's it. That was easy enough. You just put it in and you change the abstract, your name, and Phoenix High School. Okay. Then just quickly another point, you'll see here in the heading, you can either just double click on the heading and change it to your name and surname, or you can again go back to insert, header, and choose one there, doesn't really make that big of a difference, and change it to your name and surname, okay? Right. Okay, so again, now I'm going to go back to just take out this page break, please, so that you don't have a whole open page, which you will lose marks for, by the way. Okay, let's see, back to our assessment rubric. So we've got the cover page, contain questionnaire and screenshot of folder structure as addenda. Okay, now what that means, back to my research document. So basically, I gave you a document called PAT Gr10. Inside of that document, you have a phase 1 folder and you have a phase 2 folder. Inside of the phase 1 folder, you have a folder called sources with a few sources in. Inside the phase 2 folder, you have an Excel spreadsheet. So basically, you have to put in a smart art or screenshots or something giving the folder structure of your PAT. Okay, so that ties in with this file path that I've been talking about since the beginning of the year. So easiest, I think, you can decide now whether you want to rather do screenshots or whatever, but go to your insert tab, go to smart art, and then I would use, where is it? The hierarchy ones. Okay, so again, you can choose which one. You can either do it to the side, like the one here, the horizontal hierarchy, or you can do it the organization chart, which goes from the top. It is completely up to you. I think, yeah, it really doesn't matter whether you do the horizontal one or the vertical one. I'm just going to choose this one and save. Your main folder is called PAT Gr10, right? Inside of that folder, you have a phase 1 folder and you have a phase 2 folder. Inside your phase 1 folder, you have a folder called sources. You also have a research report. And remember, this is now in the same category, so you are going to have to, where's that thing? Layout, no, style, no. So I'm just quickly checking where to get that from. Format chart. Okay. In the phase 2 one, you have an Excel spreadsheet called digital footprint something. Okay, but that's fine. Sorry guys, I'm just quickly going to check how to add a shape. They changed the format. Add a shape. There we go. Add shape before, above, after, below. Let's say after. And there you can now type in. What's the other one? The questioning. There we go. Okay, so if you have this, whether it goes horizontal now, whether it goes vertical, you have a main folder called PAT Gr10, phase 1 and phase 2. You have your sources folder, plus a research document and a questionnaire. And in your phase 2 folder, you have an Excel spreadsheet called digital footprint. Okay, so that's that. Back to my assessment rubric. What do I need to do next? Now, please pay attention to these things because these things are unnecessary marks to lose if you don't do it right, okay? So, do you have appropriate fonts, readable fonts? The size and types must be the same, okay? Don't have too many different types of fonts, 2 different types of fonts maximum, and 2 different font sizes maximum, just to emphasize your headings. There mustn't be empty paragraphs. The empty paragraphs are those hide and show signs. So if you scroll through your research report now, look that there's no empty hide and show signs, so that you don't lose that mark. Appropriate word spacing, you've had that in tests now, like a lot. If there's 2 dots when you have your hide and show activated, if there's 2 dots between 2 words, I can't give you that mark. So check that your word spacing is correct. Now, the hyperlinks in the document. I'm going to show you quickly. Let me just quickly think, what can we hyperlink to? Okay, I'm going to show you. So, in your research document, here where you have addendum A, insert diagram or graphic of your folder structure. Just quickly want to check where's the best to put this in. Okay, I am going to do that below my smart art here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the word click here for questionnaire. Okay, so now do exactly what I told you. Select the words click here, right click on it, and then you'll see there's a word on your drop down menu called hyperlink. Click on that. Now, we are going to link this text to an existing file, and mine's already open here on look in phase 1. If yours doesn't open on phase 1, you go and look for your document here, okay? Yours will be desktop, Pat Grade 10, phase 1, and then you double click on the research report. Now you see it becomes blue and it's underlined. And when I rest my marker on it, I can see it says Pat Grade 10 phase 1 questionnaire. And if you right click on it and you say open link, it will take you to the questionnaire document. Okay, so now we can get that mark. Almost done with phase 1, where hyperlinks in document tables lead to relevant informational sources. Okay, so we've got that one now. Now, you are just going to read through the next few things and make sure that you have it. Well-structured, legible, professional document. Everything that you've done, just see that it looks nice and professional. Headings given due prominence. If you haven't changed the headings that I gave you, that'll be fine. And no spelling or grammar mistakes. Now, hopefully by this time, you know how to spell check a document. Here at the bottom, go and do a spell check, okay? So you need to do that yourself. This, for example, is someone's name, so you ignore and you go through the rest, okay? I'm going to end this video here, and then in the next video, I'm going to do that last part of phase 1, which is the questionnaire, okay? And also maybe phase 2. I'll split it up into 2 videos, okay?